The state of financial inclusion here in the Philippines. I'm going to read her accomplishments. It's quite lengthy. Hang on. So she graduated with a bachelor's degree in public administration from the University of the Philippines. She got her master's degree in international affairs focused on economic development from Columbia University, and is also a fellow in the Fletcher School Leadership Program for Financial Inclusion at Tufts University. Likewise, she is active in global discussions on financial inclusion as a member of the relevant working groups in the G20 Global Partnership for Financial Inclusion, Alliance for Financial Inclusion, Islamic Financial Services Board, and the FinTech Group of the UN Secretary General's Special Advocate. And currently, she is the head of the Principal Advocacy Office of the Bangko Sentral for Financial Inclusion, Financial Education, and Consumer Protection. Join me in welcoming up on stage Managing Director for the Center of Learning and Inclusion Advocacy of the BSP, Ms. Pia Bernadette Romantaya.
Thank you very much for that generous introduction. Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. Mr. John Henry was saying, I think the party in the other room is having more fun than we are. But I think our discussions should really be more uplifting in the sense that this is really something that is good for our economy, for our country, and for the people. If I may just start on a more somber note, we are currently having the necrological services for the governor at the Bangko Sentral as we speak. And it was quite a struggle for me because thinking of whether I should leave and come here or really just stay there and pay my respects. And I realized we will be doing him a disservice if we don't come here, because this is exactly what his vision was, to really make the financial system more inclusive and reach more of our unbanked and underbanked. And this was his advocacy from very early on while he was still Deputy Governor. And as Senator Escudero pointed out, with the passage of the new central bank charter, from an advocacy, it is actually now a strategic objective. And if I may read, and this is quite significant, in Section 3 of that Act, it says, in the attainment of its objectives, which is price stability and financial system soundness, safety and soundness, the BSP shall promote broad and convenient access to high-quality financial services and consider the interests of the general public. So that's actually very powerful words now embedded in the BSP charter. And so very much aligned with what we are all trying to do today. So let's start, and you mentioned let's put ourselves in the same page. What do we mean by financial inclusion? We actually have a national definition, if you will, as embedded in our national strategy for financial inclusion. It's a state wherein there is effective access to a wide range of financial services by all. And Senator Escudero said, it's not enough that you have access. They have to use the services. So it has to be effective access. Are the products you are offering, in fact, the ones that they need and can pay for? Are the products that you're offering the ones that can improve their quality of life? So that is what we mean by effective access. And wide range of financial products and services, not just payments, not just savings or credit, but the range that they need. You know, sometimes when there are some who think that, oh, if you are low income or if you're only earning this much, you do not need a lot of financial services. But in fact, because you are managing such little income with many needs and expenses, you live very complex financial lives. You have to do a lot of financial management. And if you have financial services from the formal system that will help you manage your finances in a cost-effective manner, then you will be able to really benefit from them. So it's all those services, and of course, for our unbanked and unserved. And how big is that market now? We've been hearing it before. I told Senator Cheese before he left, I promise you, by in 3 years, 70% na unbanked ng Pilipinas. That's a hope, okay? That's a hope. average. But I think that's good enough. Because right now, our figures are much lower. Only 23% of adults have formal accounts. Okay? And that's what, about 15 million? Am I putting figure? 14.5 million Filipinos. 48% of adults save. So there's really a propensity to save. But 70% informally, at home. So hindi po, nangyayari po talaga yung sa ilalim ng kama nag-i-inbox. 22% of adults have loans, but 4 out of 10 from informal sources. In terms of insurance, and I know Juan Rivera is also playing a very important role here, only 18% of adults have insurance. 3% of adults have investments. So there's really a long way to go in terms of financial inclusion as we know it. But we know that, the gateway to financial inclusion first is really payments or having a basic account. And we're happy to hear the developments from this undertaking. I'll explain that later. In terms of access, 34% of our cities and municipalities have no single bank. Okay? I want to point out that if we consider the other financial services, the microfinance NGOs, the pawn shops, the remittance agents, that goes down to 9%. Okay, so from 34 unbanked, we actually only have 9% unserved. Okay, so there are still 9% with no financial institution whatsoever. But if you can use those additional touch points, you could bring that down to 9%. And we can address the concentration that we see here. Imagine the concentration of financial services. 40% of the total number of deposit accounts are just in the NCR. So the whole Philippines is sharing the 60%. And in terms of amount, it's almost 70% just from the NCR. So what is this we've been trying to ask? And we conduct a biennial survey on financial inclusion at the Bangko Sentral. And this is some of the results. The first thing they say, we cannot open an account because we don't have enough money. So that's really the biggest, and I would challenge this to say it is a misconception. Because you think you don't have enough money because maybe the products out there require a certain amount of money before you can have a savings account. So if it's a 2,000 opening amount, then you say, oh, I don't have 2,000 to be able to save. Or I don't have the documentation. I don't have enough knowledge, awareness, and the perception of the lack of need for savings account. So this is also tied to what Dr. Am was saying and about financial literacy, knowing how to manage and how you can benefit from financial services. I think from the survey you saw, there was a perception of sufficiency in financial knowledge. But in fact, in the Philippines, out of the 7 financial literacy questions, I think only about the Philippines on average can only answer about 3 correctly. Okay, and very small percentage of the population that can answer all 7 questions correctly. Okay, so I don't want to paint a gloom and doom picture because in fact, what this points out is really an opportunity. And I'd like to tie this up with opportunities in digital. So we heard it before. We're a very young population, we're the demographic sweet spot. Only 23 is the median age of all Filipinos. 6 out of 10 without a bank actually have a mobile phone. Smartphone penetration is high and increasing rapidly. I recall this was, very low just about 2 years ago. Of course, we're the social media capital of the world now, after being the text capital of the world. And so much opportunity in payments. Because 9 out of 10 adults pay. Okay, we can escape from our bills, from the things we need to pay. 9 out of 10 adults pay. But mostly in cash. And in fact, even the account holders, the little that they are, they're already banked, they have accounts, only 18% use those accounts to make electronic payments. So even that is a low-hanging fruit. You're already banked. Why are you not using your account to make payments? So these are some of the opportunities and some of the areas which the Bangko Sentral has tried to directly and deliberately address. I want to highlight, as I said, the Bangko Sentral has been pushing for financial inclusion for nearly 20 years in the early days of microfinance, in putting in place the regulatory framework. But in the recent years, we've been pushing for initiatives for digital financial inclusion. Because in the many years of banking, 160 years of banking in the Philippines, the traditional models are definitely not sufficient because we know our figures and yet why in the many years of banking, we have such a very big unbanked population. Maybe it's our geography, we're 7,100 islands, lowlands. It's difficult to reach through traditional brick and mortar models. And so we have to go digital. And we're lucky because of the opportunities that I presented earlier. But when we talk digital, we see it, QR code, you can pay, tap, you can just tap, and then you can pay, you can leave. It all sounds very nice and high-tech and convenient. But first, you cannot participate in any digital inclusion if you do not have an account. First, you need an account where you can store value, you can transfer and receive value. So all these digital payments that we're talking about, you cannot participate in it without an account. And we saw the figures, only 23% of adults have an account. Okay, so how do we now get that account? The Bangko Sentral is pushing to democratize access to that account. How? By addressing all the reasons I pointed to earlier. We don't have enough money, which I challenged as a perception. So the basic deposit account framework, as you know, is something where there is only 100 pesos and below opening amount required, no minimum balance, no dormancy charges, because this addresses the very fears of the Filipinos why they don't open an account. Yung experience na naglagay sila ng 5,000, di nila ginalaw, nakaltasan, biglang sila pa yung may utang sa bangko. Yan yung mga kwentong naririnig. So, bakit ako magbabangko? Itatago ko na lang sa aking bahay. But we all know that that also has risks. So, making it easy to open an account. Documentary requirements. This is actually a very, yung KYC dito is very liberalized. So, if you don't have an ID, it can be reduced to writing. There are others, depending on the financial institution, how they can implement this. But the Bangko Sentral has already put this framework in place. It can be mobile, it can be, you can innovate in the way this product is designed. Okay, so now let's say we have that instrument where we can open the gateway to having an account. Where do they go? Okay, of course they can go digital, but then we still need an expansive network of touch points because the banks are only in 66% of our cities and municipalities. So where do they go? And so therefore we issued our cash agent regulation. So we democratized access to an account. Now we want low-cost access points where they can open these accounts and actually transact on these accounts. So the agent banking regulation, actually it's a cash agent regulation, allows banks to use third parties. And what are these third parties? Of course, the pawn shops are the first in mind. They're already doing financial services. But it can also be a generic drugstore, a grocery, a sari-sari store, things that are already embedded in communities and are already getting local traffic, foot traffic. So that is now allowed. And the third one, okay, it's easy for them. There's an accessible point where they can open an easy open account or a no-frills account. Why would they want one? Why would they want one? Well, if they are able to use that account, then you give them a good proposition to want it. And that is what we are working on the National Retail Payment System. We're making payments interoperable where you can send value from any account to any account. So you may have heard PesoNet, InstaPay. Once you have an account, you can send it to anyone who has an account. It can be an e-money account, a bank account. So that way, then 9 out of 10 people make payments. So imagine if they can now use their account to make payments for their electric co-op, for their remittances, pay their bills, give the tuition to their daughter, give the allowance to their children. Then the account gets value for them. And the beauty here is that your first step was opening in the account and making them have a good value proposition by enabling payments. But then that opens up to the range of other financial services. Because it's digital, there's a history, the financial institution can now see how frequently does she get this money, how frequently does she say, then they can design bespoke credit products for you. They can score you based on your activities. So then it opens up an opportunity for you not only to save or put away money, but to now access even credit and even some investment products. So these are the three pillars, not really pillars, but we see them as the three necessary steps before we can really achieve true digital financial inclusion. And when we put this in place, and it was the governor before he became deputy governor said, you have to issue all these regulations and then leave it up to the market. But this has to be built upon a very strong cybersecurity culture, sound market conduct and consumer protection, and sufficient financial and digital literacy. So all of this we have also put together to ensure that when we grow digital, it's safe, it's secure, people trust it, and people know how to use it properly. And he said, when all of that is done, the market will take it up. The market will take it up and will see the opportunities. We didn't see that. So some of these regulations were in place and we kept telling them this is opportunity, these are the data and inclusion, these are what. That's why we are very happy to be here with you today, because this is exactly how we wanted our regulations to be used, to be able to serve broader markets, underserved, unserved markets with valuable financial services designed to meet their needs, purpose, and capabilities. So our hope is that these products are delivered and that they are properly explained, and that when they are used, and that they truly benefit those that use these services. That will be true financial inclusion from our standpoint. And regulation will never be enough. It's really the private sector that we hope to see. So we hope that with the launch today, we see more of similar business models proliferate. The market is huge. There's many players can serve this market, and many opportunities and partnerships in this space. So we're very happy to be here. The Philippines has been pushing for financial inclusion. In fact, this is just a plug, and Senator Escudero mentioned this also, that in terms of regulatory framework, we're the first in Asia, and this was in the past 10 years since the Economist Intelligence Unit has been monitoring microfinance regulations and financial inclusion regulations. And yet our numbers are not catching up. So we hope that in the next 3 years, we see that the regulatory framework has indeed provided the environment for the private sector to take on the challenge and to explore the opportunities in this space. And it's not just the private sector, it's really a multi-stakeholder approach. That's why we have a national strategy for financial inclusion. That's 15 government agencies. The ICT is there, DAR is there, DA is there, because agriculture, as was pointed out earlier, is also a very important factor and can also benefit from these types of services. I think the time is right because we have the necessary legislation, the General Banking Law. Senator Escudero was also crucial in passing the Payment System Act, which gives us more clarity on payment system. The National ID, the Philippine Digital ID, the PhilSys. This is a biometric-based foundational ID, which could really be a platform to onboard, to design products, many possible things that you can build upon a foundational ID. So with all this in place, we really think that the time is right for initiatives, bold initiatives such as this, to trailblaze, to finally provide much needed financial services to our large underbanked segments that have been unserved for far too long. So thank you for inviting the BSP here. Thank you for the opportunity to share this journey with you, and congratulations in advance to Cebuana Youth.
Thank you, Ms. Tina.